let's talk about Savage Axis. All right, so we got a brand new Savage Axis in 308. It's got the mossy oak composite stock, obviously bolt action. This is the XP package, so it does come with this Weaver scope. Scope itself's not great, but get to that in a second. But overall, though, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, you're not, in my opinion, going to find a better rifle than a Savage Axis. I own a number of Savages, and every one of them, I mean, just shoot phenomenally, especially the rifles. But yeah, and again, price point wise, they're great. I think this was coming in like sub $400, and I actually got it even cheaper too because I went to my local FFL. I traded in a Savage Axis and a 30-06 because I had multiple 30-06s, and I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of one of these. I got rid of a 243, so I got some pretty good credit towards this. And I picked this up primarily for my son to use out on his hunts. We were out recently in a special firearm season here in PA. He shot a 6.5 Creedmoor. He seemed to handle that pretty well, so I was like, you know what? I like 308. It's good caliber. Plus, they had this, and it was good. But let's talk about some of the basic features on this, right? So nothing fancy, right? Again, composite stock. It does have this, though. And it looks like that's adjustable length of pull. From what I've looked at, it's actually not. That's just part of their design. So it is what it is. My son, you know, he's going to be tall. He's got long arms, so it's fine. But Savage, you got your safety right here. Nice and simple. It's one of the things I love, actually, is having that right there so you can just, when you're ready to go. Again, this is just the Axis, so it doesn't have the AccuTrigger on it, which is fine. I didn't want the AccuTrigger. I actually don't like it. I don't like a real sensitive trigger. I like a little, you know, stiffness there when I pull. But overall, though, like I said, great rifle. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is just a cheap Weaver scope that comes in this thing. My son's going to be using it. Probably not going to shoot anything beyond 100 yards. He might, but unlikely. So I'm going to sight this in for 100. That's like kind of his safe zone. You know, we were going to be doing more with it. I might upgrade the scope, but again, it's pretty basic. Now, I don't have any of the, you know, spin rates or any of that stuff on this. If you're interested in that, you can go to savage.com or Google that or whatever. But again, this is Savage Axis in 308. And all right, so I am going to be going to the range this Saturday with this. If I can get some video footage of that, shooting it, I will. If not, that's fine. I'll just post some pictures of, you know, the groupings afterwards. But this is what I'm going to be shooting here. This is the Winchester Deer Hunter XP. This is in 150 grain. This is probably my favorite deer round. I don't know what it is about how they make these, but every single gun I've shot those out of, the grouping's awesome. In fact, a notorious gun is a Mossberg Patriot, right? Like there's so much hate about Mossberg Patriots. I've got that in 6.5 Creedmoor shooting those Deer Hunter XPs or Deer Season XP. And yeah, I mean, I've got like half-inch groups at 100 yards of those. So that bullet shoots great. Again, that's the lead load, not the copper. I've had some issues with copper impact. In fact, this year I'm going to go, actually, same day I take this out, I'm going to go up my 30-06 that I usually shoot. And last year I sighted in for the copper impact. It wasn't getting great groups, close enough to kill a deer. I did kill a deer with it, but I think I'm going back to the lead load. But yeah, that's what we'll be shooting. Deer Season XP. And like I said, I'll either post a video of us at the range or post video afterwards showing you the targets and grouping.
like being the first person to shoot. Alright, let's see where that puts us.
Same spot.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just not a great scope. Because that should have definitely moved.
Buy myself a value of wood. There we go.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, the results are in. As you just saw, we were able to get this thing to group at about 1.5" group at 100. The gun itself, I think it performed really well. The one problem I did have was with this scope. So the reason why I say that is because this thing is a quarter MOA adjustment at 100 yards, and this thing definitely did not adjust. Adjust per quarter per click. On the very first grouping you saw me shoot first targets, that was at 50 yards. So by theory, I should only have to double this in order to move everything where I want it. I shoot once, see it goes top left. The second shot, I didn't make any adjustments, but I aimed at the bottom right staple, and it shot relatively the same place as the first one. So I was like, okay. So I made my adjustments based off that staple where it was at. I adjusted it for what I always have with any other scope, and my shot moved like an inch diagonally. So I was like, wait a minute. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just adjust this again. This time I doubled what I already doubled, right? So I'm doing like 4 times as many clicks. It moved like 2 inches the same direction. And I'm like, holy crap, okay. The scope's obviously not great. I went ahead and pretty much quadrupled my adjustments on the next one and got it in an area where I felt comfortable. Because I know at 100 yards it's gonna drop. So I was like, okay, we're going to be good at 100. So we went ahead, moved to the 100-yard range, set up the paper. You'll see I did that, group. It was probably about a 2-inch group. But made the adjustments there. And again, this is now shooting at 100 yards, so this thing should be, per click, quarter MOA. That's not what I did. I doubled it up at 100, and it put it where it needed to be at for what the adjustment should have been. So this Weaver scope is crap. I'm not going to replace it before the season. I think it's good enough now to where my son should be able to drop a deer if we see one this season. But next season, I'm absolutely going to go, pick up something else and put something a little bit nicer on it for this, because this is going to be a gun that's his, and he's going to use this from now on out deer hunting. At least as long as he's living with us and not buying his own guns. So, but overall though, satisfied with the performance. Love the Savage Axis. I love Savage guns, period. Every one I've ever owned, they've never failed to perform the way I need them to perform and do what I need them to do. I have had some pretty bad experiences with some other firearms, but Savages have just always seemed to perform really well. And I know I had another video where I mentioned the price point on these. Pound for pound, in my opinion, you're not going to find a more accurate rifle and quality of rifle for the price you're paying for one of these things. So, yeah, great. Highly recommend this, and can't wait to get in the woods with my son and see if he can't get himself another doe this season. If y'all have any questions on this, shoot me a comment below. Please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the woods.